Music is an amazing form of art, allowed to express any emotion. But to make music, you need instruments. And some instruments are, well, unorthodox. And this is the subject of today's Iceberg. The strange and weird musical instruments Iceberg. Before I get started, yes, I will work on part 5 of the childhood trauma Iceberg. I just wanted this to be a warm-up because I am in school now and I wanted an easier iceberg to cover. Oh, just so you know, I created this iceberg a while back and thought it would be a safe, unique topic to cover in a video. And one more thing, after each entry I will show a short clip of the instrument so you can hear what it sounds like. So without further ado, let's get onto the iceberg. Oh, I may butcher some of these names horribly, so bear with me. First off is the didgeridoo, played with continuously vibrating lips to produce a continuous drone while using special breathing technique called circular breathing. This instrument is well known, so I'll just show the sound. The organ is a keyboard instrument of one or more pipe divisions, or other means for producing tones. Each played with its own keyboard, played either with the hands on the keyboard or with the feet using the pedals. I included it here because of how big some of these can be and its countless variants. The harp is a stringed musical instrument that has a number of individual strings running at an angle to its soundboard. The strings are plucked with the fingers. Its most common form is triangular in shape and made of wood. Some have multiple rows of strings and pedal attachments. It is here because of its unique shape and the beautiful sound it produces. A pan flute is a musical instrument based on the principle of a closed tube, consisting of multiple pipes of gradually increasing length. Multiple varieties of pan flutes have been popular as folk instruments. The pipes are typically made from bamboo, giant cane, or local reeds. Other materials include wood, plastic, metal, and ivory. They are here mainly because of the shape and their unique sound. That's it for tier 1. You know, it has some basic stuff, but when we get tier 2, we have some more unique stuff. The theremin is what you think of when you think of weird instruments. The instrument's controlling section usually consists of 2 metal antennas that sense the relative position of the thereminist's hands and control the oscillators for frequency with one hand and amplitude with the other. The electric signals from the theremin are amplified and sent to the loudspeaker. The sound of the instruments is often associated with eerie situations, thus the theremin has been used in movie soundtracks such as Spellbound, The Lost Weekend, The Day the Earth Stood Still, and First Man, as well as in theme songs for television shows such as The Midsummer Murders and Loki. I mean, just listen to this thing. Glass harmonica is a type of musical instrument that uses a series of glass bowls or goblets, graduated in size to produce musical tones by means of friction. This instrument is very unique and underappreciated, so just listen to it.
Voila!
The ocarina is an instrument mainly known for making an appearance in Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. It is an enclosed space with 4 12-finger holes and a mouthpiece that projects from the body. It is traditionally made from clay or ceramic, but other materials are also used, such as plastic, wood, glass, or metal. And this is what it sounds like. The Octo Base is a big voice string instrument. I mean, have you seen the size of this thing? Anyways, it's played like a double bass, but a lot larger. The photo player is an instrument mainly used in theaters to accompany silent films. It contains a piano and many percussion types, as well as some pipes and some variants, and ways to create sound effects like gunshots. And here's what it sounds like. A tamatone is an instrument which is shaped like an eighth note with a sound emerging from a mouth-like thingy. So when you squeeze the face, it makes a sound, and you can change the tone of the sound to make music. The real Soli G is a master at this kind of instrument, so you should check him out. Link in the description. The Stylophone is a miniature analog stylus-operated keyboard. It consists of a metal keyboard made of printed circuit boards and played by touching it with a stylus. Each note being connected to a voltage-controlled oscillator via a different value resistor, thus closing a circuit. The only other controls were a power switch and a vibrato control of the front panel besides the keyboard, and a tuning potentiometer of the rear. The Vibra Slap is a percussion instrument consisting of a piece of stiff wire connecting to a wooden ball to a hollow box of wood with metal teeth inside. Percussionist holds the metal wire in one hand and strikes the ball. The box acts as a resonated body for metal mechanism placed inside, with a number of loosely fastened pins or rivets that vibrate and rattle against the box. The Leer is a string instrument that dates back to 1400 BCE in Greece. It is known for its use in Greek classical antiquity and later periods. The Leer is similar to a lap harp, but differences in construction place it into a different family of instruments in organology. A lyre is considered a yoke lute since it is a lute with strings attached to a yoke that lies in the same place as the sound table and consists of 2 arms and a crossbar. The kazoo is an American musical instrument that adds buzzing tremble quality to a player's voice when the player vocalizes into it. It's a type of merliton, which itself is a membranophone, one of a class of instruments which modifies the player voice by way of vibrating membrane of gold beater skin or material with similar characteristics. That is it for Tier 2, onto Tier 3. The Zeus Foam is a form of plasma speaker. It is a variety of a solid-state Tesla coil that has been modified to produce musical tones by modulating its spark outlet. The resulting pitch is a low-fidelity square wave-like sound reminiscent of an analog synthesizer. The high-frequency signals acts in effect as a carrier wave. Its frequency is signified above human audible sound frequencies, so the digital modulation can reproduce a recognizable pitch. The musical tone results directly from the passage of the spark through the air. The Chapman Stick is a member of the guitar family. The Chapman Stick usually has 10 or 12 individually tuned strings and is used to play bass lines, melody lines, chords, and textures. And it should be good for stabbing vampires as well. The Alp horn is a labrophone consisting of a straight, several meter long wooden natural horn of conical bore, with a wooden cup-shaped mouthpiece. It is mainly found in the Alps, and similar horns used to be a form of communication throughout the mountains, but they are now used as musical instruments. The Earth Harp is the largest stringed instrument in the planet. It was developed by William Klaus in 1999. The body of the instrument rests on a stage and the strings travel out over the audience, attaching to the back of the building. The Aegium is a traditional Korean stringed instrument resembling a vertical fiddle with two strings. It has a rod-like neck, a hollow wooden sound box, and two silk strings, and is held vertically on the knee of the performer and played with a bow. The Aegium is one of the most widely used instruments in Korean music. The Aegium's range of expression is various despite having only two strings, with sounds ranging from sorrowful and sad to humorous. The Pipa is the traditional Chinese musical instrument belonging to the pluck category of instruments. Sometimes called the Chinese lute, the instrument has a pear-shaped wooden body. The pear-shaped instrument may have existed in China as early as the Han Dynasty. And although historically the term Pipa was once used to refer a variety of plucked chordophones, its usage in the Song Dynasty refers exclusively to the pear-shaped instrument. I personally think this is a beautiful instrument to listen to, so I hope you do as well. Zither is a class of stringed instruments. Zithers are played by strumming or plucking the strings, either with fingers or a plectrum, sounding the strings with a bow. Like an acoustic guitar or a lute, a zither's body serves as a resonating chamber, but unlike guitars and lutes, a zither lacks a distinctly separate neck assembly. The number of strings varies from 1 to more than 50. A laser harp is an electric musical user interface and laser lighting display. It projects several laser beams played by the musician by blocking them to produce sounds visually reminiscent of a harp. The laser harp was invented by Bernard Zanger, if I pronounce that right. It was popularized by Jean-Michel Jarre. Again, I might have butchered that. And has been a high-profile feature of almost all of his concerts since 1981. A carillon is a pitch percussion instrument that is played with a keyboard and consists of at least 23 cast bronze bells in fixed suspension and tuned in chromatic order, so they can be sounded harmoniously together. Carillons are usually owned by churches, universities, or municipalities. Bells are struck with clappers connected to the keyboard of wooden batons, played with the hands, and pedals, played with the feet. Often, carillons include an automatic system through which the time is announced and simple tunes are played throughout the day. Or if you're a mad lad, you play Tataka in D minor to an entire city like this fellow. The tongue drum is a percussion instrument with these slits, which are called tongues. The tongues can be tuned by the maker by varying the length of the cuts or by adding weights, often neodymium magnets, to the tongues. The instrument is played with fingers or with mallets, and the tone is bell-like. That does it for Tier 3, and let's just get on to Tier 4. To start this tier off is the largest instrument, the Great Stalacpipe Organ. It is an electrically actuated lithophone located in Luray Caverns, Virginia. It is operated by a custom console that produces the tapping of ancient stalactites of varying sizes, with solenoid actuated rubber mallets in order to produce tones. The instrument's name was derived from the resemblance of the selected 37 naturally formed stalactites to the pipework of traditional pipe organ, along with its custom organ-style keyboard console. The pyrophone is a musical instrument in which notes are sounded by explosions, or similar forms of rapid combustion, rapid heating, or the like, such as burners and cylindrical glass tubes, creating light and sound. Stuff like this shows you can make music out of anything. A shofar is an ancient musical horn typically made of a ram's horn, but used for Jewish religious purposes. Like the modern bugle, the shofar lacks pitch-altering devices without pitch control done by varying the player's embouchure. The shofar is blown in synagogue services on Rosh Hashanah and at the end of Yom Kippur. Shofars come in a variety of sizes and shapes depending on the choice of animal and level and finish.
The second one.
A musical saw is a hand saw used as a musical instrument. The sound creates an ethereal tones very similar to the theremin. To sound a note, a sawist first bends the blade into an S curve. The parts of the blade that are curved are damped from vibration and do not sound at the center of the S curve and do not sound. At the center of the S curve, a section of the blade remains relatively flat. The sweet spot, can vibrate across the width of the blade, producing a distinct pitch. The wider the section of the blade, the lower the sound. Sound is usually created by drawing a bow across the back edge of the saw at the sweet spot, or sometimes by striking the sweet spot with a mallet. The cheese drum is what it sounds like. It's a drum that uses real cheese. I mean, is there else to say? The harpsichord is an automatic acoustic harp which is designed to allow any musician to compose their own music by screwing a pin into the surface of a perforated cylinder at the position required for each note to be played. Each of the 11,520 holes is threaded to except one of the 3mm threaded pins kept in a tray under the cylinder. The scale across the top shows the pin position for every note in the top 46 note chromatic scale, while another scale at the side calibrates time by numbering each of the 240 horizontal lines of holes. As the cylinder rotates, each pin lifts a lever coupled by the mechanism which plucks the appropriate string. Each pair of strings transfers its energy to a rocking bridge coupled to large diaphragm whose vibrations are amplified acoustically by a large horn at the bass end and a smaller horn at the treble end. A keyboard allows real-time performance and helps note finding. The solar panels can change the battery which runs the motor. The Serpent is a wind instrument descended from the cornet and a distant ancestor of the tuba. With a low pitch and a mouthpiece like a brass instrument, but side holes like a woodwind, it is a long cone bent into a snake-like shape, hence the name. It is generally made out of wood. Despite the wooden construction and the fact that it has finger holes rather than valves, it is usually classed as a brass instrument due to the nature of a embouchure used to play it. In the Horn-Bostow-Sox scheme of musical instrument classification places it alongside the trumpet. The ney is an end-blown flute that figures prominently in Middle Eastern music. In some of these musical traditions, it is usually the only wind instrument used. The ney has been played continually for 4,500 to 5,000 years, making one of the oldest musical instruments still in use. The ney consists of a hollow cylinder with finger holes. Sometimes a brass horn or plastic mouthpiece is placed at the top to protect the wood from damage, and to provide a sharper and more durable edge to blow at. The ney consists of a piece of hollow cane or giant reed with 5 or 6 finger holes and 1 thumb hole. Modern neys may be made instead of metal or plastic tubing. The pitch of the ney varies depending on the region and the finger arrangement. And to finish this tier and video off is the Quika, or monkey drum. It is a Brazilian friction drum with a large pitch range produced by changing tension on the head of the drum. Quika is Portuguese for the gray four-eyed opossum, which is known for its high-pitched cry. It is frequently used in carnivals as well as often in samba music. The tone produces a high-pitched squeaky timbre. Many also liken its sound to that of a monkey. So that does it for part 1 of this 2-part iceberg. I just made this to see how school will affect the video making process. That's also why this video is so short as well. Don't worry, part 5 of the childhood trauma iceberg will be worked on after the video is released. But as always, like, comment, and subscribe. It means a lot to me. And have a nice day.